Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is F1 Fanatics. Welcome back to the channel and to another episode of F1 Fantasy Weekly, the place where you can get the roundup of all the latest F1 Fantasy action. F1 Fantasy, of course, is the game where you get 100 million budget to select 5 drivers, 1 constructor to compete against your friends and the world. Score points over the course of F1 weekend. I stuffed it. I needed, but I don't know. Just
nice.
We're
Always
here.
goes smoothly.
No,
Doesn't
F1.
Always goes smoothly.
No.
Yes, we're reviewing.
Norris did well.
The final of the triple header. Yes, Norris did do well. The final triple header in Austria. Got a week's break, so it's only a review today. No review preview. We'll be looking ahead at the Silverstone Grand Prix next week, and maybe there is an alternative to the current super team, especially with streaks coming into play.
Maybe there is light at the end of the F1 Fantasy change-up score points tunnel.
But we'll be talking about that next week.
Yes.
So yeah, let's get into it.
This week. Okay, right, we're getting straight into the screen recording. Woo! Screen record starts now!
Bam.
Right, okay.
I need to be able to see.
All right. Whoa,
All
chill
right,
out.
give
We
it
were
in.
getting there.
Give it
We were
in.
getting there.
I forgot to... We got to zoom in. People can't see this stuff. There we go. Okay, Austria Grand Prix. Top 5. Max Verstappen coming in at number 1 yet again with 49 points. Valtteri Bottas, an impressive 37 points for him. Lando Norris, best turbo pick of the weekend on 31 points. But Carlos Sainz not too far behind with 28 points. Then rounding up the top 5, just getting in there, Lewis Hamilton, 25 points. Any thoughts on who's not in the top 5 and who is in the top 5?
Yep. Checo is a dick. That's my thoughts.
Look at that, the first time he hasn't been in the top 5 since Imola.
And those are my final thoughts. Checo. Dick.
Wow.
Lando, congrats. Sainz, good job. Checo, dick.
Nice. Okay. The other one to focus on is Valtteri Bottas there on 37 points. And possibly, if he is here in form at the right time going into Silverstone, could make a appearance in some teams. But like I said, we'll talk about that next week. But the impressive one from Valtteri Bottas there. Highest points return of the season so far for him. Daniel Ricciardo going through the rest. Daniel Ricciardo got 19 points. Fernando Alonso got 17 points. Charles Leclerc got 15 points, along with Pierre Gasly. Am I still? Yeah, I'm right. Checo Perez got 14 points. Antonio, I don't know why I laughed because I also got screwed.
Yeah.
But I always like to laugh at your misery. So.
Oh, who's next, Stephen?
Antonio Giovinazzi.
Gio! Hey!
10 points.
Woo! Hey, what a pick that was.
Just Pippin, Mick Schumacher on 9 points. Oh, it was those two. Those two topped it. Probably the least picked because the 2 other popular choices we'll come on to slightly lower down. Nicholas Latifi got 6 points, and then George Russell, 5 points. If he hadn't have got overtaken by Fernando Alonso, I think he may have just outscored. No, I think he would have got like 8 points or possibly 9 points with Mick. But ends up getting 5 points. Oh.
Raikkonen.
Unlucky people. And then Kimi Raikkonen, 4 points. Sebastian Vettel, 4 points. Nikita Mazepin, rounding up the 4-point club. Lance Stroll got 0. Yuki Tsunoda. I can laugh at that one because I didn't have him. And he scored an impressive -2 points there with his double penalties. Wrong strategy. Ended up in a terrible race for Yuki. Esteban Ocon, the early retiree, minus.
I got wise to you, Ocon. I got wise to you. I knew you'd do something like this again, and you're out. You were out on the streets. You ain't part of my team anymore, sunshine. You know who I went back to? My man, Gio.
That's a 24-point swing.
That's a 24-point swing. You see, that's something you might describe as a miracle.
As an F1 miracle. Yes, the only ones to focus on there is probably Yuki. Big disappointment there.
Unfortunately, look, those guys, Vettel, Stroll, Tsunoda, they all really suffered from the poor strategy. Gasly stuffed his own... Perez stuffed his own race. Gasly did still reasonably well.
15's decent for his point price range.
Considering. But Sainz, big winner there. And Fernando Alonso, again, scoring some decent points.
Yeah. Does it justify his price? Because you look at... He's got the same as Pierre Gasly at the end of the day. No. But he's getting to that point.
He's getting there, but, Vettel's still on 111.
Yep, still impressive for him.
Gasly's on 135, cheaper than him, and Lando Norris is on 264, cheaper than him. Yeah.
So, right. There we go. Teams.
So this was my team.
No, constructors.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry. Sorry, I thought you meant my team. No, teams. Yeah, I guess that happened. Mercedes actually topped it.
For the second week in a row.
Because they had a streak.
Yes, and also Checo Perez. Although Lewis, must have purely been on the streak. 72 points. Red Bull got 63 points. McLaren, a pretty strong 45 points from them. Ferrari got 38 points, and then it's a massive drop-off this week with Alpine on 13, Alfa on 9, Haas on 8, Williams on 6, AlphaTauri on 3, and Aston Martin minus 1 point for them.
Shocker.
So
Shocker there. So, but still, what, that difference? 9 points, is it, between Mercedes and Red Bull? I mean, the price difference just isn't worth it.
But hilariously, with McLaren not having those streaks for this week, outscored the total last week by 25 points.
Yeah.
So
that is a funny one.
If people kept McLaren in, they would have actually been in a decent position.
Been okay, but
it depends who you brought in.
You're starting to see quite a significant difference of those who don't have Red Bull to those who do have Red Bull. 530 to Mercedes, 460. And massive drop-off with McLaren and Ferrari.
Yep.
In terms of points. So those are the ones where you're really going to lose out on. But now...
On to your team.
My team. So I got a 49 with Verstappen, Turbo Perez, which really stuffed me. We did say it was between Checo and Norris. And to be fair, if Perez had waited, had been patient, like we were talking about on the live stream yesterday, it should have been an easy best turbo pick. And second place finish.
Yeah, it would have been an easy Red Bull 1-2.
Easy.
But alas, Checo decided to send it and stuff it.
Yeah, absolutely. Gasly decent 15. Gio, like I said, best of that price range 10, 63. But unfortunately, Gio having that 24-point swing doesn't really account for the 30-odd point swing it was between Checo and Norris turbo driver.
Yep. And you outscored me by an incredible 1 point.
Incredible 1 point. But now let's take a look at the F1 Fantasy League, looking at players who are actually playing well as opposed to me sitting 237.
I wonder if I've dropped out the top 100.
Were you in the top 100 again?
I was in the 80s in our league, which is the only league you need to worry about.
Because it's the most prestigious league in the world. But Jad, team 1, I believe he was third last week and seems to have dropped off. So let's have a look. 195, he turbo Checo. So I think the guys who turbo Checo are the ones who lost out big time this week and had Mick Schumacher. So that was decent, keeping with that kind of almost super team that we described it as. of last week. He comes in at P5, but staying in that top 5 is still a decent performance. Raja, 1,939, drawing with a kill team 1. I'm going to guess that they both turboed Lando. They did indeed. Well, at least Raja turboed Lando. So that's the nice 62 points there. A great pick there from Raja and a kill. Same team, turboed Lando. That was expected because they'd been very close in the top 5. So they move up to joint 3rd in the league now. Leveraged David A maintains his position as 2nd, and still just that 5-point gap. So I'm going to imagine, they turboed Checo. So actually the big winners of this week, I think in that top, are Akil and Raja. I think they were a little bit further off, but they've narrowed the difference at the top by going with Lando ahead of Checo for the turbo pick. And Sean Team 1, still part of that turbo team with the turbo Checo. Go from there. Now, going to be interesting. Now, this is next weekend Silverstone, or next race weekend. Obviously, it's not them. The Mega Drivers are going to be interesting. Had that solid team, Turbo Checo, so missed out on gaining some points there. So a rare slip up from there. But Fergus, Raniel Dicardo, Hjalmir.
What a great name.
I know. But those are the 3 that I think are going to be starting to challenge for the top 5 in the league. Definitely the guys below. Smooth Operator, Aldis, and what's flagged there? Is that Lithuania?
Smooth Operator.
Or is that Austria?
So we both
I'm not
looking. I think
not
it's
sure.
Latvia.
Might be Latvia. There you go. Stephen's gotten the flags from their front. But very good and very hotting up the competition. And it's going to be when everyone has played this first Mega Drive. Obviously, the second half of the season, we get another Mega Drive. It's going to be really interesting to see where it pans out. And I think people are it is Latvia. People are going to start mixing their teams up because they're going to have to start going, I've got to make a points deficit now. So I'm going to have to start breaking the mold. If I just do what they do, I'm going to lose out.
Well, that's what we'll be looking at next week. See what you can do differently to this super team that has been formed over the last few weeks.
Absolutely.
Trying to find the best alternative, possibly.
Yeah, and just probably a quick look. I don't know. Want to go into the open team for the British Grand Prix. Just a quick look at guys who are on budget. So let's have a look here. Perez is still on the up, surprisingly, and Bottas is on the way down. So maybe hold off on Bottas and see if he goes down. Leclerc again has gone down another 0.1 million. I think in preference of Sainz, who continues to go from there. Lando on that double streak for Silverstone. It's going to be fascinating to see. Yuki still going up again, but Giovinazzi maybe is the mover to be a hold of for kind of price increase. Sainz, surprisingly, I guess it's just his price, and Fernando Alonso, their prices that they haven't necessarily gone up despite their positive performances in the last kind of 3 race weekends. That's a surprise on there. But the market is still pretty stagnant, although the kind of usual money makers in Max and Lando and Red Bull are consistently scoring you money, and I think Gasly as well.
You need Lando in your team. Even if you have to make a sacrifice going for a Mick, you need Lando in this team because his price is only going to go up, and he's ridiculously good for his price range.
I mean, he's the 3rd highest point scorer, is he? Or is Bottas? Let's just have a quick look at that. I'm pretty sure he's the 3rd highest point scorer. He's ahead of Bottas. So he's the 3rd highest, most valuable driver so far, with Checo behind. So he's ahead of Checo and Bottas, which in a McLaren is mental.
Didn't he start with 12 million as well? So like 12.8, 12.9?
Yeah, it was something. And I do remember, actually, really funny, because we went for Norris, actually, both in our teams at the start. But I think we were like, I just think he's going to be too high for, not consistently beating Daniel Ricciardo. Lando enters the chat.
Yeah.
And shuts us up on that one. Mainly me, probably. I think you were okay with Lando. But yeah, that's it. That's all I can think of the review today. Anything from you?
No, all good. We did have a look at the summary page, but there's not really much there to look at. But yeah, we'll be back next week trying to look for those alternatives. It's not quite the summer break yet to be using your wild card, but we're getting there. Maybe there's a bit of a shake-up for your team going into Silverstone, possibly. That's what we'll be looking at next week.
Absolutely. And we'll see because we're going to Silverstone. There was a recommendation, could we do a live stream between FP3 and qualifying to kind of give any last-minute hot fantasy picks? If we can find a quiet place at Silverstone before qualifying begins, bearing in mind we'll be in general admission, probably having to find a kind of a good spot to watch it. Yeah, we're certainly going to, we can get some live streams going. Because, yeah, why not? When you're actually at the race, it gets more fun.
Exactly.
Absolutely. But if you're new around here or haven't done so already, what can they do, Stephen?
They can like, subscribe, and ding that bell.
Ding it. So for now, you F1 fans, keep racing.